Look, hi, I'm delighted this afternoon to be with Stuart Mellody. How do I pronounce the Trigoni?
So we're just going with straightforward Stuart Mellody.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So the other side is just the development side. So the raising finance is Stuart Mellody raising finance.
So I promised Stuart it would be a 15-minute interview. I know Stuart's got a busy day ahead. I've got a busy evening as well. Huge thanks for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Look, I've been reading a lot from the likes of Darren Kirby on Facebook, and he's not the only one about, I don't want to call you the Messiah as such, but been talking about how working with you's made a difference. What do you do for your clients? How do you solve their problems, and what problems do they have as well?
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, the main thing is that people first approach me for is largely about raising finance, and then very quickly we highlight that it's the missing piece of the jigsaw in their property business. Largely, that's what's happening with people, and people spend so much time, trying to go through lots of training. They pick the right, strategy, model, convince the family that they're doing the right thing. They're getting away from their corporate world, and they're doing all of this work, and then they're finding the right agents to get the right deal. All this fight, all the way to the point where they get the deal on the table. So much depends on it, and then they've forgotten they've left one thing behind, which is the money, or they've got maybe one or two investors and they haven't, put them, positioned them properly.
When you say position them properly, are you saying they haven't positioned the investors properly, or maybe positioned themselves with regard to the investors?
Perfectly put, yeah, exactly that, Brendan. Yeah, so either way, so a lot of people don't truly understand what they're bringing. They bring the deal, but they don't bring the complete opportunity.
So are we looking at the core values? So hopefully you can see me. I'm off picture sometimes as well, but I could move the camera back, but I won't do for the moment. So Stuart, I know you look back at core principles, people's backgrounds beforehand. Where were they before they moved into property?
Yeah, that's exactly what we do.
And what are you looking at? What characteristics are you looking for? Maybe hoping is too strong a word, but whatever people are is what they are. But in terms of the characteristics, how would it make a difference?
Well, lots of people, they ignore their background. They come into property, they go into a networking event, they're in there and they judge themselves on how many properties they've got, how long they've been in the property game or the property world, and very quickly they can shrink back into, not sharing about themselves. And what we do is we ignore that bit for the moment. Go deeper into what their background and experiences and knowledges and expertise is, and where they've been working, previously to property. And there's people that have got no properties that we meet at networking events that have a wealth of experience that they can bring to the table that's very attractive to either people that have brilliant expertise and experience in property that they can joint venture with. There's loads of value that you can bring. You don't have to be property based. So when we delve into that and look at what their experiences are, their expertise, their knowledge, their background, that starts to become a value to them, and they start to realise that. Then that gives them a different confidence and perception when they're going out into the the property world, because it can be quite daunting, trying to go out into the property networking circles, can't it?
Can I just say, if you are listening to this, just give me a heads up. What would be really great is just to know that you can hear us clearly, hopefully. Otherwise it's going to be us rattling on for the next, well, not 2 hours, but
20 minutes.
It's not even going to be 2 hours in Wandsworth. So Wandsworth, Stuart's going to go into a lot more detail. Wandsworth Property Network, which, look, I know you say it's not about the years, but I do love to say Wandsworth's been going for the last 7 years, and for me, it's important. I've seen a fair bit change over the last 7 years since that Wandsworth group came about in 2010. So, as far as I know, I'm the second longest independent property network in London after John Corrie's. Thereabouts in terms of property meets. And if it wasn't for John, to be fair, I probably wouldn't have created my own meet in a way. I've been networking for a long time, since I think 2005, something like that. But again, you say it's not about the longevity. You're looking at different aspects. So So I know one of your clients. We mentioned Darren briefly, who I know better, but you mentioned, is it Mehul?
Oh, Mittel.
Mittel, who it says on my notes he raised 3.25 in just under 6 months, 5.5 months. So how many days is that? About 180 days. So phenomenal amount from standing still.
Yeah.
Had he raised money before, or
He'd raised 150k with his parents. Mittel's a good example, and I shared this with you before we went live. That it's not so much the amount of money that you can measure the success on, because we can teach someone, show someone how to raise anything from tens of thousands, a few hundred thousands to millions. It's about how they perform with it, because then that allows them to turn that into an element of their property business where they can use that for their life, like continue for their life. How many people do you know who are pinning everything on property? Their life change, their lifestyle, their security, their job change, what they're going to leave as a legacy. They're pinning so much on it, yet they're leaving out what I regard as the most important skill to add to that whole business, which is how to raise money, how to raise it legally, effectively. They are not focusing on that.
Look, Peter, huge thanks for joining myself. Peter, who I met ages ago. I don't want to say ages, but a while ago, from a networking group called For Networking. So we were talking about stability though as well. Why not always is it right to raise loads of or lots of money first and to get your core stability? And what do you look at core stability as? And we're not talking in physical terminology. Right now, we're talking about in life as a whole.
Yeah,
although we were bringing in aspects of the physical world as well, because it's important to have a grounding and a balance. And
absolutely.
You regularly have a PT. I don't know how often, but on a weekly, daily, something.
3 times a week PT, and then the other 3 times are just me going to spinning and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's part of your foundation. It's interesting. Listening to different speakers, whether it's myself doing the interviews or whether it's listening to, some people much more famous than me, like Entrepreneur on Fire, and listening to the key questions they ask. But just looking at, what you do on a daily basis, one thing you were talking about, which isn't that unusual to be fair, is the, taking time off from your phone, the airplane mode. What I really liked though was the whiteboard. So it's a very simple strategy, and it's very simple in the 21st century as well when you've got a mobile phone. But do you want to just elaborate on that?
I use, what we were discussing, using whiteboards a lot, but I use it to map out the day before I map out the next day, and I map it out in hours, and that whiteboard is related to what I want to achieve that day, which is relevant to the tasks that week, and that's mapped out so that it's relevant to the tasks that 90 days. Which is all then part of the chunks that are focused towards the bigger vision. So it's reversed engineered from the big vision down to the yearly, down to the 90 days, down to the week, down to the hours. So I can get up in the morning, look at the board and understand what the tasks are, and also each hour is locked out. It's sometimes difficult keeping them within the hour, but I start the day with, depending on what the focus is, but keeping the phone off in the first part of the day, just to tune into the day so that we're not running into chaos straight away and just firefighting. So that's always works for me. Everyone does it different, but that works for me. And then, this is all relevant to what we were speaking about earlier with regards to getting stability in your life. You can raise money, loads of people can go out there and raise money. The danger is the raising of the money when you're not in a position to manage it and perform with that money. So you create more pressure on yourself because now you've got someone else's money that you've got to be responsible for. And if you're not in a position, stability in your life and structuring your business to perform with that money, you're just putting more pressure on. And what my driver is, what I thrive off, is removing that stress from people when they, when you wake up in the morning and sometimes you have that dread. So, for me, when I'm working with clients and that they have that, I want to remove that. I want to help them get their stability back, the structure back, on track to get their lifestyle.
So what 3 things, is it Mittel?
So Mittel.
What 3 things did you do for Mittel which made a difference?
Oh, God, you'd have to ask him. The three things were what I just explained about timelining out what he's trying to achieve.
Per day.
Yeah, reverse engineering what it was. So what his drivers were. Look, doing stuff that you're uncomfortable with, going out and building your business, working on things that you might not be 100% happy with. If you know they relate to what your bigger picture is, what your drivers are, it makes it a lot easier.
So just to summarise, because people join a conversation at any time in Facebook Live. So Mittal raised previously a significant amount of money, depending on who's listening. There's people who've raised billions, raised millions. So raised about 150k beforehand. Now, what did he have to do? And you don't have to go into too much detail to get out of the comfort zone. Or what do your clients typically have to do if we don't just focus on one person?
It's not so much. Yeah, that's a good point about across the board. I don't necessarily want to focus. Put them through coming out of their comfort zone. There's always going to be an element of that. What we start with is
because seeing you for some people maybe getting out of the comfort zone as well.
Yeah.
Because some people may see you on a pedestal. You've been in the property industry. For the last 35 years. I think you've raised about 30 million pounds. So for some people, that you could sort of like be putting them out of the comfort zone by just literally meeting up with them.
Yeah, when people.
I know you try to make them at ease.
Yeah, they do. Well, it's just normal conversation. It's nothing, there's nothing magical about raising money. There's nothing, mystical about it. We very quickly get down to them as a person. One of my biggest values is personal. Being personal with people, getting to know them, getting to understand them, working with them to help them achieve what they want to achieve in their life at a deeper level. That, for me, is enjoyable. So getting to that point, and you're right, there can be some preconceived perception of, meeting somebody. But very quickly they get to realise this is, I'm just sharing with somebody my life's experiences, 35 years of it. Okay. And them using that, I call it avatar mentoring, this is how I explain it, that I basically plug into somebody and I upload what I've used to raise money, partner, build businesses, build portfolios, and then they use that in their life. And pretty straightforward stuff.
Sure. Now, let's say there are some listeners at some point listening to this video, thinking, look, two things. We're based outside of the UK, and there's always going to be listeners on Facebook who are based outside. Do you have to meet up with them? Can you work via Skype or Zoom? Is that one question? So let's say they can't come to Wandsworth. Maybe they're based up north, although to be fair, I've had people travel all the way from up north, and to be fair, significant distances, both for Wandsworth and my other meets. If they can't make it down on that particular night, the 14th of September, how can they reach you is the key question.
Okay, so we have a closed group, really small group, and it's Raising Finance Stuart Mellody Facebook group. It's a fantastic group for people, all levels are coming into this and want to understand how to raise money, JV, partner network, all aspects, whether they're trying to raise money for rent to rent or multi-million pound projects, or abroad or here, it doesn't matter. And what's the value of that group is that we are very interactive with them. So if someone's got an issue or a problem and people want to address it, we'll jump on a Zoom call. We'll have an open Zoom call for them. I'm avoiding giving people generic feedback. So you can get that anywhere on Facebook. What I want to do is share with them what we share with people that we work with, so that I'm giving someone back specific to them to help them move forward. And therefore the Facebook group does that really, really well.
Stuart, at some point I'm going to upload this video to YouTube. I don't know if I can mention the words YouTube on Facebook and so forth. I will do, and it will be shared to my tweets as well. So some people may not really be aggressive or not even passive in Facebook. They may not really use that platform. What other ways can they reach you?
So
is there an email address or website?
So stuartmellody.com. So STUART. Mellody was 2 L's. stuartmellody.com. You can book a call through there where I'll give somebody a 40-minute coaching call. That can be arranged directly through there, straight into my diary. There's a YouTube channel, so you get to know about my background, my experiences, my people I've worked with. So that's Stuart Mellody. YouTube channel, and that's the best way to connect, direct through the website.
Look, I'm sure there's lots and lots of questions you've got for Stuart, and that's why on the 14th of September is an absolute perfect evening. Is there anything else you want to add, Stuart, before we let people enjoy the rest of, well, whenever you're listening to this?
Yeah, I think, the thing I said earlier was about personal, when you're being personal. I think getting in a room at Wandsworth with people is a fantastic opportunity for us to interact, answer questions specific to them. You could be sat in the audience or sat at home or wherever it might be, just can't get that final piece of the jigsaw. Why won't people invest with you? Why can't you get the money on the table? Why do investors keep dropping off when you've done all this work? And it's going to be specific to you sat in the audience rather than a generic question, answer. So being in the room, that's why I like doing the talks. It's very powerful. I like the interaction. I can work with people in the room, share with them the stories, share with them experiences, but also answer where they're at in order to help them get a shift forward. So I love the whole idea of doing the talks.
Sure. So I know Stuart's coming along on the 14th of September, which is literally about 25 days away, or however many days from when you're listening to this video, because you might be listening a little bit closer to that particular day. Where else are you speaking before the end of the year? Have you got any other engagements, Stuart, lined up for people based outside of London?
Yeah, I'd have
Would that be on your website?
Yeah, it'll be on website and Facebook. I'm not the person to ask for that. Misha, my daughter's the one who manages that. I'm the worst person to ask for that.
So, in terms of connecting with Stuart, finding out dates if you're still on a holiday in early September, Stuart, just to summarise, so focus of the evening is going to be on, I was going to say creating wealth, but you'd be a bit stricter on defining the...
Yeah, it's about you personally in the audience. How do you get that missing piece of the jigsaw, what I regard as the most vital part of your property business together? That's the important, the skill for life that you're going to use, whether it's in property or any other industry that you go in. You can use the skills around raising the money that allows you to go on and then live the life that you're in this for. Everybody's working hard to make their property business work so they can get onto a certain lifestyle. And this is the bit I want to share with people. This is the bit I want to give them, because this is the missing bit of the jigsaw.
So I love that analogy about the missing jigsaw puzzle piece. And as you say, it's on the 14th of September. I put a link in the video so you know how to book. So huge thanks for joining myself, whether you've joined myself live or whether you're listening at a later date. And huge thanks, Stuart, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.